The following video will contain spoilers. If you do not want to be spoiled by said TV show or movie, exit this video immediately. You have been warned. Bitch! Euphoria. I got some mixed feelings about you, dog. I had just finished, well, a few days ago, I had finished Euphoria. Well, the day that it came out. And honestly, if I had to describe one thing, if I had to describe one word about this series, one word, if I had to describe it, it's damn. That is not how you go out like that, man. That is not how you go out. Watching this series as a whole, it's like, how do you go through this and then go through that, and then you got all these people, you got, different kids going through different situations in life, and the next thing you know, they're getting, effed over. But I'm here today to discuss the finale that has concurred into Euphoria. Euphoria season 3. That I didn't even think that this series was gonna end like that. But we're here to talk about it right now. Shout out to Zendaya. I respect her acting, you know what I mean? She got it. She got it. We'll see you in Spider-Man, okay? So without further ado, let's talk about this monstrosity of a final episode that we had to witness right here. So as you know, with the final episode, In God We Trust, we finally made it to the end. 7 years since it premiered. Can you believe that? Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, this episode was long as hell. Like, given it, so it was like maybe an hour and 33 minutes or something like that. It was the longest episode that we have ever witnessed in Euphoria. Because the director and everything has some loose ends to tie up. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to throw shade on that brother. He did his thing. So we left off with Frey screaming bloody murder to, the wake up Wayne and everything like that. And then next thing you know, Rue knocked Faye out, and then she went and stabbed the hell out of his knee. And I was like, bro, like, that's self-defense when you see that. She runs, and he shoots, and then next thing you know, fast forward, she managed to escape. And now all you see is her running down the trail with the bag full of stuff that was in that safe. And then here we go with Harley trying to be like Wild Wild West and some shit over here and captured Rue like it was Looney Tunes. Dragged her back, and it just seemed that Rue was down. It looked like she was about to die. But then my homie G had to come in with the shotgun. Not with the shotgun. No, it wasn't a shotgun. It was a sniper. You know what I mean? My man came in with the sniper and he shot the hell out of Harley. That's what we needed to see. That's what we needed to see indeed. So then after that went down, Rue went and, escaped with G. She got everything that she needed from that locker, and then she and G went to dip. They went to running and they celebrated, wholeheartedly. Then we turn over, all we see is Cassie and Nate. Not Cassie and Nate. First of all, I'm gonna talk about Nate later. I do remember the scene cuts to Cassie and Maddie after they are kind of like tearing up and mourning for the death of Nate. First of all, Nate, brother, what is your problem, bro? That whole entire series, the whole entire season, you was just down bad, man. Why can't you accept it, be broke? Okay, it is okay to be broke, man. Admit that you're broke so you don't have to embarrass yourself in front of these people, man. You had some nerve to ask for millions of dollars from somebody to have your bougie ass wedding, and then now you're going to go ahead and have a debt collector from Ukraine or Afghanistan, wherever the hell he's from. His name is Nas, by the way. Nate had the nerve to borrow some money after he had just admitted that he can handle it. You know what I'm saying? But everybody kept saying that he could not handle it. He couldn't handle it. You can't handle the pressure. You can't handle life situations and stuff like that. And now Nas is out for your fingers and toes. You know what I'm saying? Because he sees that you're a hoe. You just out here just asking for money. And now you gotta pay the price. I mean, he went and sent his bank after you, bro. After that wedding, when Cassie, remember when Cassie and Nate was about to go home, and then he saw Nas and his bodyguard started beating the hell out of Nate, and then Cassie over here bleeding from the nose and everything like that. And I'm like, bro, you should have not played with the piper, bro. It is time to pay the piper, bro. Because at the end of the day, you shouldn't have asked for that kind of money. You should have just went to your daddy and just asked for that money right there. That would have saved you a lot of time. So rest in peace to you, Nate. He did not deserve to die, though. I'm not gonna lie. He did not deserve to die. He deserved what he got, though. Because he's over here playing with the rich man's money. He's over here playing with fire. Fire that he can't afford. He wouldn't even have a pot to piss in, man. And then he wants to rely on his girlfriend? He want to rely on Cassie on her OnlyFans porn money? You must got it bad, bro. Man, that is just, it's not good. It's not good for you, homie. So rest in peace to you, and I hope you learned a valuable lesson. Cassie and Maddie, they were sharing a very, very, intimate dinner at a diner. They were tearing up, makeup was all over the place, and now they're feeling awful about what happened the night before. And then now it's like, Maddie's like, what do I do now? No, they have to figure it out together. That's all they have to do. They over here have to figure it out together. And that's what you gotta do, you know what I mean? Because you entered this dark world without knowing what the consequences was. Huh? You didn't know what the consequences were when you entered in that dark world, when you saw Nate's dead body, when he got bit by that snake inside that burial ground? Oh no. Honey, you should have turned the other way. You should have worked with that girl that was working as a model. What's her name? Man, I can't forget. I remember her name. But anyway, that girl from episode 2 or something like that. Anyway, we cut over to Rue. She delivers the licenses to Alamo. First of all, Alamo, you a bitch, bro. You a bitch and you that nigga at the same time. You know how to stand on business, and you smell the rat when you see it. That is just boss behavior. And man, you just gotta be 10 toes down on your business, because anybody can be a rat, anybody can be a snake. We'll get to that soon. So in that process, Rue delivered the license to Alamo, who tells her that she's doing a proudly good job. And we thought, saying that Alamo can trust Rue after, pulling off all that stunts and all that planning that she was doing up to this point. Then at that point, he tells Rue to take a week off and say that he will pay for all of her medical expenses. Anything she needed, she'll get it, get it for free, which resulted, Rue going to get her hand stitched up by the doctor. Then he also gave her a bag of cash for a token of appreciation and a bottle of pills. What's a bottle of pills doing here, bro? It's not looking good, because we remember that Rue was the one that wanted to quit. She's looking towards God. But let's just look at it like this. I don't like the fact that Alamo, I knew from my suspicions that Alamo gave her something that was thought that was Percocet, but it wasn't Percocet at all. Turns out it was fentanyl, and a lot of it. A lot of it. One dose of that fentanyl could be deadly. Huh? Then we cut over to Mexico. We see a deal going down, and whatever the case may be. Fentanyl traded for cash and placed in the back of a van. And then we see Big Eddie with Mitch. And that other side point, we see my man Bishop getting ready to make some sort of transaction, whatever the case may be. And for some reason, Kitty got a BBL, whatever the hell. Then we see, Mitch go ahead and picking up the girls from some kind of plastic surgeon office. And he waits in the car. They've been trying to get into the U.S. border. Big Eddie and Mitch can escape with the drugs and go to the U.S. We see that Mitch and Big Eddie approaches Lori's farm. Well, quote unquote, drugs that was inside of the van. He realized the whole time the thing was a setup. And I was like, whoa, they really just set him to die. And just so when they were about to escape the entire farm, they see DEA agents that can conquer a small country approaches Lori's farm in helicopter exploits. It was GTA up in there, bro. So now we go ahead to the farm. We see the DEA go ahead and just, pulling up on Lori's farm. Lori says that she doesn't want to go to prison. First of all, Lori, you're a coward. This is coming from me. You are a coward, bro. Okay, Lori, she's one of those characters that you can't really, tell what's going on with her, because she kind of talks like this, like a monotone gecko, and she always relies on her lackeys to do the work for her. her racist lackeys to do her work for her. And now she's over here like, oh, I can't go to prison. And then what did she do? What did she do, y'all? She had the nerve to commit suicide. Suicide, ladies and gentlemen, all day, every day. Because she didn't want to feel trapped like her bird that Bishop went and killed. So now everybody's getting arrested. We see Harley getting arrested. He's surrendering. But the only people, once again, that was able to flee was Wayne and Faith. And we don't know what happened to them after that. Kind of a loose end that Euphoria didn't tie into, but you know, I'm pretty sure like how they were trying to explain it was pretty self-explanatory. But the most G-est thing that I have ever seen Bishop do, I didn't even peep it at that point, you know what I'm saying, was when he swapped vans with the empty van going to Lori's and the van with all of drugs going to Alamo's. And I'm like, whoa, Bishop knows how to work. And I kind of had a feeling that that wasn't the same van, because if you guys paid attention, there was a Coke bottle inside of the drink rest. And while dude was going over to get the girls, he came back and said,
"Where's my drink?"
What drink?
But little did we know, towards the end, the same Coke bottle was inside of that van, meaning that they did some kind of swap. Bishop went over and took the van over to Alamo with drugs that was originally in that van, so that they can get the DEA off their back in heat. You know what I'm saying? That will make the heat die down a little bit. So the whole entire time, DEA was chasing the wrong van, which was, you know, kind of smart on their end. So now we cut over to Rue watching the news and sees an inmate doing parkour to escape prison. Little that we knew that it was Fesco. He immediately said, you know what, I gotta go over there and rescue him. You know what I'm saying? Because he's my friend. I can't just let him, you know, be out there all by himself with the cops going over here and stuff like that and letting them catch him. So Rue decided to go up and try to, you know, find Fesco. Ali said, no, what are you doing? You gotta stay here and rest, basically. We see Rue going in her van, trying to find Fesco, goes to the exact same place where Fesco is known to be. But little that we knew that Fesco wasn't even there at all. So she went in and, you know, she went somewhere else. She decided to go back to her home. So fast forward to when she arrived to her neighborhood, she then sees her mother as she enters through her, you know, house. Her mother is just over there sitting, reading, or, you know, sipping tea or whatever she was doing. But the one thing that kind of confused me at that point was the fact that it was all just a dream. It cuts to a scene where Rue looked like she was gasping for air. And as she was gasping for air, it kept cutting back to her and her mother hugging. And then, next thing you know, the whole thing comes to a stop. So then the day resets. And the real Rue is dead. I told you all about that fentanyl, man. That fentanyl that man Alamo gave to that girl, it was not fair. Alamo thought that it was the right thing to do to exterminate a rat while the rat was still hot. And I predicted this once upon a time. And I said by the end of this, Rue was either going to end up dead or in jail. One of the two, because she was way too hot and she was working with the DEA. It just didn't look good for her. So now Ali is just crying. He's bawling. He's bawling over Rue's death, because a person like Ali that's been working with people like Rue for many, many years, you know, Ali has been, you know, death after death after death after death with Ali, man. Had to witness all of it. But to see Rue die had to hit the hardest. So after Ali kind of noticed the thing of pills, the pills that was on this table that Rue had brought to his house, he used his test on the pills and discovered that it wasn't Percocet, but it was fentanyl, like I had said earlier. Ali calls Leslie, you know, Rue's mother, to tell her what happened. It was just such a devastating moment, and I just thought it was really sad for him to do that, because he had to break the bad news to her mother. And now we cut over to a scene to where Rue's name is now in Ali's book, which honestly I didn't think I was going to see. So now the scene cuts over to Ali speaking to his group, what he had felt over the past, you know, the past moments that has happened during this time. He said, and I quote, "I used to believe the world would be a better place if people could emphasize with addiction, to understand that addiction were suffering from an incredible disease, no different from cancer. The addict may be remission, but the disease ain't gone. I thought that sympathy was the key. But if you can emphasize with that addict, you can also emphasize with the dealer. They're selling drugs to feed their children. Who can't understand that? So maybe sympathy ain't that helpful at all. Maybe the real disease is people no longer knowing the difference between right and wrong. I don't care what your struggles may be. You poison the kids for money, you're evil. It's plain and simple. Which hit very hard, in his defense, because having to go through a lot of people, who's going through addictions like that, and drug addictions or whatever the case may be, they can't come back from that, and they can't, what I mean, and just having that burden, having all that burden buried onto you, no person can go through that. So long story short, after he found out that Rue is dead and he found out that Alamo killed her, oh yeah, it's go time, brother. He's out for blood. He's going after Alamo. So now we cut over to the scene to where, Alamo was chilling with his boys and chilling with Maddie, who was now in that world with Alamo. But in the slide of everything that's happened, Alamo has said that he wants the quote-unquote American dream. Picket fences and donkeys and horses, whatever the hell he said. One of them things he said. He said he wants to live the American dream. And ironically, he wants to live that American dream with Maddie. Maddie wasn't too sure about that, though. You see her face right there? She didn't want to do that, man. She didn't want to do that at all. As you see, my man G got his hands full with a couple of shorties. And he said, oh, somebody wants to speak to you. So G went over to Ali in the military uniform, and he was like, oh, who's the manager of this place? And then G was like, oh, okay, who's asking? And then next thing you know, he had him at gunpoint. You better shake your head, yes or no, motherfucker. That's what he said. He's looking for Alamo Brown, okay? And if you lie to me, I'm gonna shoot you in your nuts. And what did he do? He lied to him. And what did he do? He shot him in the nuts. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. G got his D and B shot out of his body. Shot up the whole club. And now Alamo is saying, whoa, what's going on out there? Ali is like, yo, where's Alamo? You want to see him? Alamo's right there. He shot through the window, and then it's going to be a standoff. It's a standoff right now. What's up? What's up? Then at that point, they was like, okay, let's get a duel going on. I want you to do this the old-fashioned way. I am here for Rue, and I'm going to avenge Rue. But then, little did he knew that Alamo knew that he had only 3 shots left. So he said he better use them shots wisely before anything happens. But I'm going to tell you this right now. He wasn't going to go out like no punk. He was either going to avenge Rue or die trying. So they did it the old-fashioned way. They said once the bottle rolls down that counter is when they're going to shoot. It's going to be high noon up in that motherfucker. Kitty went and got a bottle and she rolled that bitch right across the counter. But then Alamo over here pulling the cheating card, and he basically was about to shoot him without him. Soon as Alamo was about to shoot his gun, it didn't go off at all. And then he looked right at Bishop. Ooh! Bishop took the bullets out them gun. And it just gave Ali the advantage. He said, I will see you in hell. Boom, boom, boom. And just like that, Alamo's dead. Which gave a very big relief to Maddie, because she, at the end of the day, did not want to be trapped. Because, let's be honest, if she lived that American dream with Alamo, it was going to be stuck for life. And if she betrayed him, then that was going to be her life. Bishop offered Maddie a ride home, and they got up that motherfucker. Plain and simple. And now Rue is avenged. I'm very proud of Ali for doing that, and I'm very proud of how it went down. Which is crazy, really, because if you really look at it from a biblical aspect, you see that Ali is the angel and Alamo is the devil. You can't be making deals with the devil now, because bad things will happen. So now we cut over to Lexi and Cassie. Lexi was kind of, suspicious about where Nate's whereabouts was after, everything that's been going down. And then Cassie just kind of covered up and said that he disappeared. The whole entire, time he just disappeared. Which Lexi kind of like, she didn't really quite understood that. He kind of found that weird. Lexi found the Bible that Rue had left back. And surprisingly, Lexi had a lot to say about the Bible. She read it from cover to cover and said there was a lot of quote unquote filled with violence and sex. And it's true. If you guys read Genesis, oh yeah, it was. There definitely was. The whole entire season, I low-key kind of felt bad for Lexi, but at the same time, Lexi wasn't really a good friend towards the group. Because I feel like she was the only one that wanted to live like a normal life and, you know, do her typewriting and everything and be her actress type time. But little that she knew that, you know, it was all just kind of in her head. It was like a lot of pride going on. And I think that she just needed to, you know, wake up and smell the coffee a little bit. She's gonna know that there is more to life than what meets the eye. And so now we cut over to Ali going into the barn or the Christian house with the Christian family on where Rue was in episode 1 and had to break the bad news. And they were sad by that. They were really sad by that. I don't blame them for being sad by that. Like, that's just that's not something that you break to little kids, man. But all in all, I feel as though that Ali needed that kind of closure for himself, because losing somebody like Rue that's close to him it's not something to get over that easily. As they were praying by the table, we see an image of Rue nodding at Ali, thanking him for what he has done and everything that he has done before after for her, so that she can finally be at peace. Because I'd rather her be at peace than for her to be on the run constantly. Because let's be honest, none of what's going on with Rue is going to end. Not while she's still there and while she's still dealing with all those people. And ladies and gentlemen, that's where it ends. I might have missed over a few touch points of, you know, the whole entire episode, but all in all, that's just a brief kind of my version, my summary of what was going on with that episode. So now we go over to the review of what I think of the series as a whole. Euphoria is a jungle fever ride, bro. A roller coaster of madness, drugs, abuse, psychosis, and overall betrayal from friends and enemies. You have to really understand something here. If you're going through something in life, if you know somebody that has that kind of crisis on the back of their chest, you gotta call that suicide prevention hotline, man. That hotline will be your best friend, man. I'm telling you, don't be like that, man. Don't do drugs. Don't commit suicide. Don't think those kind of thoughts. Call the prevention hotline. We love you, all right? We love you. Pause. But overall, I thought this was, again, this episode gave me a little bit of mixed feelings, but it ended the way it did, and I just don't, you know, see it coming back from there. I mean, this is the season finale. This is the series finale. So everything that ended from this point, it is what it is, and I'm just glad that they wrapped it up the way that they did. Now, as for Jules, her involvement in this season did not make any sense whatsoever. We just see her come back to, you know, this big behind house. She's painting naked people, and she's fucking some millionaire that's already has a wife and kids. Nothing really to it. It's just that her involvement didn't really seem like it was all the way there. From like seasons 1, season 2, the chemistry that she and Rue had, it just didn't really fit in this season. I just thought that maybe she was gonna have a little bit of involvement, but she was more of an asshole in this season if you really think about it. But yeah, that's really all I gotta say about this season, man. That's really all I gotta say about Euphoria. Comment down below, like, what's your take on this season? What's your take on Euphoria as a whole? What are some points that I missed, and, you know, what are some, you know, some of your favorite moments from this season, you know? But the one thing I'm gonna miss about this season is that girl Angel, man. Woo, Angel, she is a spicy mommy. I like that. We like that. I was just so mad they got rid of her, man. She, what? Angel, woo, she, woo. Angel, talk to me, baby.
Talk to me, baby.
But that'll be all for this video, guys. Hope you all enjoyed that, man. Give this video a like, share with your friends. But until then, I will see you guys in the next vid.